Hello and welcome back already to Venezia. We've had a pretty good time off of camera. Let's get straight into today's episode. Yes, we're going to play the Roma game. The reason I didn't do Juventus was because there were a couple more postponements and it was just getting ridiculous, really. And I just felt that the Roma game, doing the Roma game, doing a bit of an end of season review at the end of the episode, sounded like a better episode to do for me, just in terms of the way the game's panned out. I think there were two more postponements, so it just got ridiculous to work out. And it also gives us a chance to look at where we were going to be. We had a very, very good time off of camera. We got we lost to Inter, which was a close game actually. Inter obviously running away with the sides with this year, so they're doing very, very well. So it doesn't really matter too much, really. Beat Como, which was pretty easy. Juventus was pretty straightforward as well, actually. We did a really good job there. And we've won every game so far. And yet again, the 4-4-2 with two pressing forwards kind of shape, that worked really well again against Sampdoria, and also did it against this team here as well, because they played a narrow diamond. I thought, let's try it against that as well, and it worked okay against them too. So yeah, been pretty good off camera. We've looked really good. I was just looking before I started recording at our projected points total. Obviously, we're estimating a little bit here, guessing a bit, but we should end up above 70 points quite comfortably, you would think. And last season, we only finished on 69 points. We finished second, but we only got 69 points. So we're going to get... I always talk about this, right? You can look at success and progress in terms of the team in two ways in the league table. Either your raw place in the league or your points total. Hopefully both, but it doesn't always work out that way as both, as Andrew Villas-Boas would attest to when Tottenham got, 70-odd points, finished fifth. And that would have finished them in the top four for many years before that point. But looking at this here, so yeah, 69 points is relatively low. You could easily finish fifth on that, but we finished second. So it'd be harsh to if we finished fifth, but we got 71 points. It's like it looked like a massive drop on the places, but points wise, we actually did slightly better. So you've got to look at both, I think, sometimes, or at least be wary that one can come without the other. So, but it looks like in our case, we're going to get a similar finish. We're going to be in the top four. You would expect to at this point. I think this game here is going to be, if we beat Roma, it's over. I think really, maybe not mathematically, but it's relatively over. I think if we beat Roma, who play a 4-4-2, incidentally, might I inform you all of that fact there. So to be fair, I say that, but Atalanta, Torino, Fiorentina, those are all pretty tough games, all in teams that are chasing European places. So what I'm going to do, we're going to play Roma game together here. If we win, I will probably skip the Fiorentina game, and then maybe the Torino game. Then we'll come back for the Atalanta game, because that might be the game that decides if we get in the top four, if we were to lose those two. So we'll play the Roma game, sorry. Then we'll come back to the Atalanta game potentially. We'll just see how things go, and we'll do an end of season review, look at all the stats of the players, the stats of the team, and look at I think more importantly, where we think we need to improve, and see what budgets we're going to get next year. One thing to know, I did get a news item, and hopefully I'll put this in the video while I'm editing here. And it was basically about the most profitable clubs in the Serie A. Only 4 teams, or was it 5 teams, were profitable, and we one of those teams. So that's good news for us. We're a profitable club at the moment. I think we need to move stadium just because of the pitch. The pitch keeps getting us postponed games, I think, is what's happening. I actually haven't been paying attention to what the news item says when it says it's postponed. I just look, it's postponed, and just move on to... I just look straight away at the fixture list to see where that game goes, and 2, how that affects the next recording, really. That's what I've been looking at. So I've not really looked too close at why the reason is, but I assume it's because of that. But there's no more games in hand in terms of like midweek games for us. It's all straight up now, actually. So I've already played the same games at this point. No, 33s on 34s, but we are on 33. We've only got games on Sunday, so I don't know where... I don't know. I guess one of those teams are not going to play on a Sunday. I guess no, that's today, isn't it? So some teams would have already played this weekend. That's why. So the Roma game will be the game in hand quote on the 34 games played teams. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. You're bang up to date with everything that's been going on. Asan asked to be taken off the transfer list, which was great. Abada is now out for the season, which we can't really buy him anyway. Like, he's just worth too much money. But that's a huge loss to lose a starting level winger next year with a bit of pace, and a bit of creativity, and a bit of quality. Like, he's going to be really hard for us to replace, and he cost us nothing this year, essentially, right? So I don't know. That's going to be frustrating to replace. But we'll talk about all this at the end of the season, because that is what that's going to be for. Let's get into the game against Roma. Really, this is our last chance to get a 4-4-2, a good 4-4-2 team, deploy something against them, and it matters still. The game still matters, of course. There's a bit of pressure on the results. I've tried almost everything against the 4-4-2. Nothing seems to work consistently against it. So what we're going to do this time. First of all, let's get into the game. We'll show you the team here. Abad is obviously outside for Petty. So your team is going to be, it's going to be Ernst in goal, Puzjas, Monterisi, Clemens, and Costino across the back. Handel, Dardai, pivots, San 10. Rainier's going to go left, Chilifi on the right. Azon's going to be your starting striker. And we'll see how exactly they're going to line up here. We'll just confirm it's going to be a 4-4-2. I know it is with Clement. It's going to be a 4-4-2. There it is. It reckons Pellegrini is... In fact, you know what? Let's go back. Let's go back here to the news item with Roma. Right, so the last time it was correct in terms of the way that it thought the team was going to play. So if you go off of this, if this is going to be correct, they're going to have 2 defenders at the back. They're going to have 2... They're going to have Carlsberg going into pivot position on the same side as Cristiante. So Pellegrini is going to be advancing to AMC, and then Cristiante is going to move to the middle. So what that should mean is there's going to be a huge gap here on their left-hand side where their wing-back's going to be high. This is the place to exploit, is the right cam slot for us. We need somebody in the right cam slot to counter through immediately. So that makes that easy. We're going to do a bit of that immediately, assuming that's all going to be right, of course. It means that they're going to have an overload on the left. They're going to have a lot of support on this side. So it might mean that, do we want to make sure Puzjas is more defensive? Do we want to go inverted fullback this side just to make sure that he's... Oh, does he go inverted wing back and occupy the middle? Just have a look again. Because there it says Pellegrini's going to go up, though, you see. That's interesting. Let's watch that, because if Pellegrini does go high on the right, and this is a normal role, it might be the case we actually move Hassan to the left. It actually depends. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be right or not. They're not going to have Cristiante as advanced playmaker, are they? No. Okay, so I reckon that the projection that the inbox item gave us is wrong, and Pellegrini is going to be one that goes up on the right-hand side. So actually, we need to sound on the left. Now, is Karsdorp going to be an inverted wing-back? Probably not. So this guy could be maybe. That's going to be the gap, though. But they're going to basically change into a diamond, right? If Karsdorp doesn't invert as an inverted wing-back, they're going to go into a diamond shape, really. So I think that you want to split 2 players either side. That should work, you know. Like, I'm just thinking in possession. Normally we look at our possession first, don't we? In these matchups, we're going to look in possession first. I think that him split to the left, him split to the right would work. So, I mean, 4-3-3 might... We've done 4-3 before, but... So it's like a classic Mourinho. When Mourinho first came to England, he talked about how relatively straightforward he found the tactical battles, and the reason why he felt like he had so much success early on was they always had a spare player midfield. They always had Makelele, Lampard, and either Thiago Essien, depending on whether it was the first season, second season. And he spoke about that a few times early on. And then teams obviously started to match up. It sounds just such a simple numerical thing, but that's how, you know, basic football was really, even back in the early mid-2000s. I reckon that we definitely want these boys picked up. These boys need to be picked up. So, do I go support duties on my wingers? Will that make it better? I mean, moving them back strata I feel like a bit of an overkill, but I mean, if we offset him to the left, where Pellegrini is going to be open, that will help us out massively. And then maybe Dardai doesn't rotate, because then Chilafia can go narrower. So what we're going to get here is Hassan's going to get on it. He's going to have Azon running in behind, and then the right winger's got to be coming inside as well. So I reckon, no, don't be doing that. I reckon you take this down, right? That's actually can say as it is. We'll go for a bit of that. He can play in the 2 runners off him, and then he cannot rotate, because we need this space to be vacated. If there's somebody rotating up here, Chilafia is going to stay wider with the positional rotation, so he's going to stay deeper, which means maybe that double playmaker. I don't know if I like this. Maybe this instead. I reckon we can go with something like this and then see how that goes. It's their wingers as well that are going to get a bit of joy. I'm really tempted to move these boys back. Let's go with that and see how that goes. There's an early highlight here, actually. Dardai's back to Costinha. Just going to see how Pellegrini... Yeah, he looks a bit higher, doesn't he? I think, although it's out of possession right now, I think Pellegrini is going to be definitely the one that goes higher. So we're just going to see if Hassan can get himself on the ball a bit more. So referee, obviously, there. But Hassan, Ivan, these are pretty similar colours to our team. Yes, we need to look to get on it. We're looking for runners off him here and then Chilafia, and we're looking for the right central field player to not get in the way of those attacks. But that's more in transition. This is obviously straight from kickoff with us in possession, and we give it away. Okay, handoff to him, plays it back to Puzjas. takes some touches, goes inside towards the box, plays it back to Dardai. He's going to get a shot away. It's deflected. It goes just wide. It doesn't get deflected. Actually, just hits it wide of the goal. Sammy Abraham's going to get up and lose it to Handel, which is quite funny. And we're going to see him. I'm just going to pause it here. So Cristiano gets on it. It's this pass here, isn't it, that did us last time? Because it's like that. And then it's the same thing again, where then Dybala does the same thing with him going off him. Doesn't quite get there, but you can see the sort of pattern there, right? Frustrating it is. It's very frustrating. They get him behind with time. Do they know Clemens gets to that good? Coutinho turns the place to Dardai. See Hassan here. See, look. See, you've got Pellegrini. See how high he is. This is it. This is the game here. Is getting it to Hassan. He's already going to have a striker in the left winger with him, and it's trying to get little Chilafia to come narrower and make those runs in behind. There we go, Hassan. There it is. There it is. Play it. Okay, Rainier's in. Is he going to use somebody? He shoots himself. That is the game right there, I think. Not too much has happened so far in the game. Pellegrini's got the ball here for Roma. Goes back to the centre-back. Let's just see. Cristiante still gets out every time. Whereas Dardai is so far off him, which is a bit disappointing to see. And they're going to get through. Carlsop does look like he's playing inverted, by the way. So in transition there, look how far inside he goes. He should be where Hassan's going to be. But then the thing is, I don't mind that because if he is, it's going to leave Rainier completely free. Rainier's probably not the best profile of player to play there. You probably want an actual winger that's going to be a threat. Abada would be perfect for us, really. But Rainier's got it now. He's going to try and release this if he can to Hassan, who's completely free. There he is. Hassan goes through into that little pocket of space we're looking for. Handel. Dardai takes a touch. He goes around the defensive line, goes inside. He's lost it. And they play a really risky pass. They're losing this, aren't they? Oh, they've got it back. We've got so many numbers around there. We've got to win this, lads. Come on. It's a shame. You can see the tactical plan, I think, it's actually worked pretty well. But the players aren't executing it quite as well as we'd like. And it's going to be a chance for Roma. And you just think in these sort of moments that with better players, would we be getting more success in these moments? And it's 1-0 to Roma. So it's 1-0 at half time. We're going to say, I want to see something better. Just going to make Pujaz between back and make Chilafia, I think, a playmaker. I'm going to switch those two rounds to see if we can get maybe more joy. Maybe we take Rainier off Hatching and maybe put on Piri. In fact, let's do that. Let's just get them the same. Okay, Roma have the ball. Right-hand side. Well, their left, our right. We're going to force it. Oh, Cristiante just keeps getting out of those situations to the point where I'm tempted to just put somebody in the right attacking forward spot. That was really close. Like, as in, just maybe move somebody here. Because I don't understand. I don't really see Dardai being able to affect it otherwise. I reckon we do that. Do we go, wing back attack this side and just put some pressure on there? Let's try this. Going to make a few changes, I think, after this highlight. This one's going to come up right now, though, right before the 60th minute. They get the ball down. Can we win this? We do. Puzjaz gets it. Plays it back to the keeper. Got plenty of time and space now to play if he wants to. Monterizi to the right-hand side. Going to try and get it to Coutinho. But we've got the number 10 inverted inside, obviously, here, who should be wide, but we've had to move inside for defensive purposes. But Chilafia gets through on the ball, plays it across goal, surely. Oh, he shoots it, he scores it, it's 1-1. I mean, that change was designed for out of possession, but it's worked in possession, and it's going to be 1-1. And right on that note, we're going to take off Azam. Let's throw on Samu up front. And let's get a change in midfield, I think, as well. Let's get Handel off. Let's get Højlund on. And just freshen up a little bit in that midfield. Dardai with a free kick. Clips it. It's going to be brought down. Chilafia is going to get to this on the 60th minute. Our changes have just been made, incidentally. The subs are on. Chilafia goes inside. Doesn't quite get there. Gets a second chance to play across to Samu. Who's just come on in. And Hassan's going to tap it in. It's going to be 2-1. The changes have worked. I feel like that this isn't really a long-term solution to the 4-4-2 because all the changes that we made were really specific to Roma's exact roles they've got in their 4-4-2. Is against Roma, if they do the same thing again, we know what to do against them. But I just don't know if it's a long-term solution to the 4-4-2. But we'll see how things go, We'll see if it happens again. We can always try this next time regardless and just figure out where they're... Which one's the more advanced central midfielder, which one's the more defensive one, and do the same thing. So we put our number 10 on the side of their attacking one to be behind them. When they lose the ball, we can counter them through that. Then the side where they're getting their pivot and their pivot's getting them out, move the winger into the AMC strata, purely for our possession purposes, really, and see if we can make that work. Because he's going to get it, whips it across. Samu's Hassan Pirini on the volley, heads it down. Oh, it's cleared away. It's absolute chaos at the moment. Roma are not coping well at all with this, and we are dealing with them pretty comfortably at the moment. And I love this football as well. Look at this. Hassan gets it. Dardai can use the right-hand side if he needs to. No, he goes himself. Coutinho on the right-hand side. Whip it across goal. Whip it across. Plays it across. Chilafia, 3-1. It's going to be 3-1. We're going to beat the 4-4-2 finally. Have some of that, Roma. 3-1. I liked the use of the wide player here because Coutinho wasn't really in loads of space, but he's just on the outside of the defensive line. That's all he needs to be, is on the outside of the defensive line. Plays it across, numbers in the middle, get us the goal. It's 3-1. Before this last one happens, I'm going to move these two across and put on Bryce right back, and then Costini goes left back, and Puskás can come off as Perini goes through. I don't know what's happened here. He's gone through. Is he going to score? Doesn't. Okay, Roma go long. They lose it. Perini gets it. Plays into Samu, who's got options with him. Højlund gets on the ball, takes some touches to Dardai, to Clemens. Costina's holding nice width. I like this. We're actually spreading them out really good here. Now we've got little Chilafia who wants the ball. Is he going to get? He could have got it there and doesn't get it. Recycle. We're playing really well, but Højlund's getting shoved across because of Puskás or Costina now, the inverted wing back. These numbers are looking really good. The numbers and the overloads we're creating is so good in this match. I wish we'd done this earlier against a 4-4-2. Maybe we could have beaten bloody Benfica. Still 3-1. This is definitely... What's nice now is that we've got a clear method. When we play against the 4-2-3-1 ourselves, we go to our 4-3-3 version. If they play a 4-3-3, we go to our 4-4-2 with two pressing forwards. If we play against a 4-4-2, we've now got a solution too. And against the 3-5-2, if teams play that, we know to play our double inverted fullback defending libero system. We've got quite a lot of solutions against different formations at the moment. The only one that we don't really have one for is 3-4-3. The 3-4-3, I basically treated it like it was like a 4-2-3-1. We go to our 4-3-3 and left it at that. The only other formation that you come up against commonly, maybe the narrow diamond, but I'm going to ignore that for now, is then the 3-4-2-1. But like, I feel like I've now got a solution that I probably would go to for each formation. Now, I know we've done that a lot as we've gone through, but like I mentioned in one of the other videos, is yes, the reason I'm not just stuck with one the whole time and gone through it is because the longer the series goes, the more we're going to get treated like a favourite in matches. So what tactical solution I go to in Season 1 with Venezia against the 3-5-2 may not be the same, or Season 2 when we're an underdog, may not be the same solution that works when you're a top team in the league. So that's what I've been conscious of. That's why I've not really... So when something's worked, I'm not just going, let's just do this every time, because it may not work like that, you know? But I think we've got enough now of like a blueprint of which formation, whatever we come up against, we know what to go to, and we've just got to look out for little things like against the 4-4-2, we know what we're going to do next time. It's just a case of which side is their more attacking midfield play, if they've got one, of course. If they've got any role that rotates forwards and goes to the AMC strata, we know exactly what side to put our AMC. The only thing that could mess that up is if they don't play an advanced role and they don't have a rotating player. But that's a conversation for a different time. As Roma miss, and I'll see you at the end of the game because this game's over. And the game finishes 4-1 to Venezia. Absolutely brilliant performance, brilliant result against a 4-4-2 as well. Love that. Here we go, lads. That's more like it. Doesn't make up for the old Benfica game, but it helps a little bit. And we've got Fiorentina next who don't play. I was looking to see if there's anybody else with the 4-4-2. No, Atalanta can play 3 at the back, aren't they? Yeah, so what I'll do now, that is your current league table. That puts us comfortably through. We're pretty much confirmed the Champions League. What I'll do now, I'll play 2 games off camera. If we don't mathematically qualify for the Champions League in the next 2 matches, I will come back for the Atalanta game. If we do, I might come back for something. We might just do an end of season review because I don't think there's too much else games-wise for me to do. So, yeah, let's have a little think. We'll come back and we'll see what else we've got for the episode. But I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the game against Atalanta, potentially. Either way, I'll bring you back then just to confirm what's happened off camera. So see you in a second. Okay, so I didn't need to wait for the Atalanta game. We drew with Fiorentina 1-1 in a game that we should have won, really. We absolutely battered them. I don't know how it was a draw, but it was. As you can see from the XG, the clicker chances, half chances, possession, everything, we absolutely battered them. And they were lucky to get the draw. But it doesn't matter because we have qualified for the UEFA Champions League yet again. Our wage budget is 600 grand, which isn't a lot more than we've got right now. But the transfer budget is £30.3 million. Now, not all of that is going to stay. I'm going to convert some of that to the wages, get the wage budget a bit higher. And then we're going to have to really try and make that money spread out as much as we can. Obviously, we hope to get through to knockout stages again. So we've got a lot of money to... Basically, we can use the installments quite far this year because the club is very profitable still, so we can really stretch that money out if we need to. I think we're really going to need to for the wingers in particular. But we'll go through that at the end of the season. So what I'm going to do now is go off camera, play these remaining 3 matches, get to the end of the season. Let's do a full end of season review. Let's go through the squads, where we think we might need to improve the squads going into next season, and maybe look at some early players potentially. Depends on the time that we get and the length of the video. But a rare 1-game episode it's going to probably be for this occasion, unless something changes. But yeah, but it was a 4-4-2. We won it, so it was a good game to have in today's episode. But there we are. That is going to do it. I'll see you in a few weeks for the end of the season, and let's do an end of season review. And welcome back, everybody. So it is the end of the season. We've got ourselves through to the end of the season, and we finished in the top four, like we said, like we knew we were going to. Finished third, on the same point as second, though, so pretty good in that perspective. And again, we've got 75 points. Going back to what I said before about how there's two different ways you can measure, I think, success as a team. Either the raw number of points that you get is more than the season before, or the places in the league. Sometimes it can be both, but it's not always the case. As I think, as we use there's I think it was the Andre Villas-Boas and Harry Redknapp seasons, was it? I believe, where Harry Redknapp finished fourth, but got a lot less points than Villas-Boas did. Villas-Boas the next season got way more, but then finished fifth. So it's the way it goes sometimes, right? Yeah. So anyway, we got. Really, second and third doesn't matter. If we would have finished fifth on 75 points, we could have been like, wow, we did pretty good for points total. But we don't need to split hairs with it. We got into the top four and we got more points. I think that's a good thing. I'd rather take third with 75 than if finishing second again on 69. Because I would have felt like that'd be 2 years in a row. We got really fortunate to finish second. So 75 points is a better total. I'm pleased how we ended the season. It was a pretty good end season, as you can see there. Pretty much after the defeat in the Champions League and the defeat against Lazio, after that, there was only the defeat away to Inter, really, and the Torino game got a bit out of hand, big 4-3 game. And yeah, lots of clean sheets felt like this year. We did better with the old clean sheets. So we just look at the raw stats first in the terms of goals and conceded, etc. So this season we scored 82 and conceded 42. Then last season we scored 81 and conceded 52. So we have got one more goal scored than last season, but crucially 10 less conceded. And I did feel like we were better defensively in our possession this season. Not only that, but I think that there was a couple of games towards the end where we conceded quite a few goals. And like the Torino game, for example, we conceded 4 goals in one match, so it could have been a lot better than that as well, to be fair. So it was only really towards the end it went away a little bit. A big 3-0 to Lazio in this match here, then the big 4-3 to Torino. So it could have been a lot better again. So we'll see what happens next year. We need to avoid those games. There were quite a few times this year, if we look through, 4-3 defeat here, a 3-0 here against Lazio. If we just go through here, there was a few games where we conceded quite a few goals. There was the 5-3 in the Cup, of course. We got smashed by Benfica. I noticed this as I was recording or editing the previous episode, where we actually played Benfica at the start of the season. We got absolutely smashed by them playing a 4-4-2, didn't we? So, yeah, and then conceded 4 to Fiorentina in that game. So you can see there's quite a few games in 3 to Juventus. As you can see, there's quite a few games where we conceded multiple goals in like a specific match. So that was quite common this season. And there isn't a similarity between all of them. Some were Europe, some were League, some were Cup. And all different formations. But 4-4-2's appeared a couple of times. 5 to Roma playing a 4-4-2. 5 to Benfica playing a 4-4-2. 3 there to Udinese playing a 4-4-2. 3 to Lazio playing a 4-4-2. 4-4-2 generally from a results perspective was a bit of an issue. But these last games, once we'd qualified mathematically for top 4, I didn't really care. We were just sort of playing through the matches to get through. I still played it as properly as I could because I wanted to see what points total we would have ended up with if I'd played it properly. So I still tried to win the games, but you know, I chucked in a play here or there just to get them some minutes as well. Tried to balance it out. I didn't go full backups and play them to get the minutes up. We just did it as realistically as we could in the situation. Still wanted to get a higher finish if I could for the extra money and that sort of stuff, right? So, but yeah, that puts us in the Champions League next season. We're going to be straight through into the Champions League, which is good to see. Good result for us this season. Going through some team stats here. Average possession, we finished 4th on 56% possession, which I mean, is pretty good really for us. I expect us to always be in the higher ends of this, playing a 4 at the back the way that we play in the Serie A in FM. I feel like we should always be relatively high. Top 5 every year I'd hope for, so we'll see how that sort of goes into next season. I'm going to skip past some of the more generic stats because we sort of looked at the goals and the conceded, that type of stuff, right? I just want to look at expected goals of performance. We're quite low on that, so if we'd had more clinical forwards, we could have done better, which is interesting. Total XG4, we were top of the list. We're creating the most chances if you include penalties. Let's go non-penalty XG. I mean, again, we're creating a lot of chances. So what that tells us, we just need to be more clinical up front, I think. And it doesn't just mean striker. It means all forward players. I think wide players and strikers in particular, though, that's which is interesting. And I didn't actually see where we finished in terms of like total goal scorers. We were second for total goal scorers. Defensive record, we had the 3rd best defensive record. It's a lot of goals, and there's a massive gap between us and Inter. So I think you can see there where if we can just get slightly better in front of goal, because we create the chances to score, just get slightly better in front of goal and make sure we're slightly better defensively, I think we've got a chance of, like, if you were to be a betting person here, you would probably think that we're going to go close to the title next year for just short. But it depends on who is in the title race, right? Like if you look at last season, so 81 points won you the title this season. Sorry, last season, right? But this season it was 97. I mean, 76 would have won it as well because the second place team got 75. But you can see what I mean. Like next season, if the leader finishes on 81, we could win it next season. If the leader is going on a season that's going to get them to 97, we're not going to win it. And the season 4 was 83, which is interesting, really. In FM, it tends to go the other way, where you might get like a Manchester City or Liverpool who start off the save, getting those big numbers, and slowly it starts to go down as teams even out a little bit. But we've got the other way this time with Inter. Are they losing any players? Darmian's retiring. Goalkeepers got 2 players retiring in the starting 11, which was goodness for us. I don't think their team is that good. I don't, no disrespect to the players here, I don't think that is a 97-point team. So I don't think they're going to repeat this next season. Inzaghi's probably going to stay as manager though, right? It is a international tournament year, right? It's a 2026, so it could well be that he's gone for the World Cup. So let's hope that he gets the Italian manager's job and he goes in and joins Italy. Come on, Simeone, take the job. Simeone, get the job at the Italian national team. Who have they got here? They got Chile, Morocco, and Uzbekistan. I mean, yeah, okay, not great. So maybe not. But yeah, that is it. That's what I wanted to look at really there. Let's go back then and continue on. I mean, we were given 3 penalties this season. AC Milan got 10, Inter got 9. So there you go. Cross completion, we were pretty high on. I don't really care about this. Goals from corners. Roma had 16. Inter had 15. We had 10. So, I mean, 10's close enough to compete. Like, if you give me 10 goals from corners every year, I take it. Like, that's... wow, okay. That depends how many you concede. But scoring 16 and 15, if they don't concede many... In fact, let's go to that next. Let's look at goals conceded from corners. Inter 5 and... I mean, Roma conceded quite a few. We conceded 8 and scored 10. So we only had a +2 on our corners, which isn't really good enough to overcome not having the better players. That's why we can't really challenge the title, really. If you have your own corner routines and you get a pretty good... +8, +9, +10 sort of differential on your corners, you could probably have taken this Venezia team this season and gone pretty close to the title potentially, if you didn't get into doing what they did, of course. Yes, so maybe we sack the set piece coach. I do joke about that sometimes, but I think we actually might just sack him and just get somebody else in. I could take them over myself, but I've decided to not do that. That's like a part of our philosophy. The set piece coach will take the set pieces. Final third passes that we're going to look at next. We're looking at attacking, weren't we? Is there anything else to look at first? Conversion rate, we were 9th. That pretty much says what we looked at a second ago. Shot on target ratio wasn't the best either. And dribbles per 90 is that. Don't really care about that. Look at this. Final third passes 4 per game with the most. I think that the tactic gets you chances. The players in the midfield are getting you chances. It's really that front 4 that need to have a bit of a look at. And I think wide players and striker are the ones that we're going to have to try and... I think we'll take a risk financially this year for the first time because I think we can afford to do it, mainly. So we'll go for a striker in particular. There's somebody really, really good. We'll go for one, a big one. And then defensively, XG against, we're the second best XG against in the league. So, yeah, OPPDA, we finished first for that, which is good. We want to be pretty much top 3 on that if we can. Net chance spend, we were 6th. And total team salary, we were 17th. So we're still only the 17th biggest spenders on salary. And we yet again finished in the top 4, which is really good to see. Finances, it says rich for us, which is great to see. Love that. Not sure if it's totally correct. I guess we're doing okay financially. And there's your finances there. Looking very, very healthy with our transfer budget going into this season. Looking lots of green arrows going up there, which we'd love to see as well. Now, let's have a quick look at some player stats. I'm not too sure how much we can look through all of them. I think the team stats have told us enough. Let's look at the strikers and the wingers, and let's focus on that. And we might just look at that for today's episode, because I don't think there's too much more that we need to really cover. We'll definitely cover those. Okay, we go there. We're going to look at the strikers first, looking at Azon, Samu, and Montero, all in order of really how much they played, to be honest, as a striker. So non-XG per 90. I'm not going to look at that too much because Montero played wide, so I'm not going to look at that. XG performance, we have got Azon on a -1.75 and Samu's on a 1.18. So that's quite a big difference between those two. Minutes per goal, this is always a good start to look at if they played enough minutes in the same positions. 232 minutes per goal for Azon, 141 for Samu. Now, Samu did come off the bench quite a bit. A lot of his goals were in games where, you know, teams were trying, if we're ahead, teams are chasing us, then we're hitting on the counter attack. Or if we're chasing the game, we're pinning lots of crosses, pinning teams back, and he's getting on the end of them. So there's a little things you need. This bit goes back to the Moneyball saves that I've done. You need to be a little bit aware of the context of the stats when you can be in the game, and when, because we know what we're doing tactically, we know how our games go. We know these things
factor in a little bit. So the stats aren't always the raw number that you can't always take the raw number as the stat because there's different variables that get attached to it, especially in football and especially in Football Manager. Conversion ratio, 25%, 21%, 27%. So what you're seeing here consistently is Ozon is down though on XG performance, minutes per goal, conversion ratio, and shot on target ratio. So all 4 of those stats, Ozon is way below Samu. That's not good. Like, he's not on head of any of them. Even header-1 ratio, he's not better in the air than Samu. If you take not just that, but if we looked at headers 1 per 90, again, like, Samu wins on every single stat, really. The only reason that I started to go with Ozon as the starting striker was that I felt that when Samu would start, if we were to go behind in a match, we were struggling, and Ozon came off the bench, we didn't really get much of an impact. But if Ozon started the game and didn't do well, then Samu came on as a sub, we had a much better impact. So I feel like from the team perspective, we were a better team by starting off with Ozon than having Samu as the bench option. So that's why we ended up going with Ozon for most of the season. But that shows you quite clearly there that really it would be nice to see it'd be nice to see a striker come in. I think that's what we're noticing there. I don't know if we can get any money in for Ozon. We bought him for £5.75 million. It was a pretty cheap deal to get him in. I'm going to consider selling him, I think, in the summer, and we'll see how we go. But I think that's definitely an option for us to let him go and try and bring in a striker. So that's really good to know. Samu's a really good backup, but again, like, if we were to get 15 million for him, is he worth that as a backup player? Probably not. So it depends on the amount of money that I'd get for Samu, but we could let him go. Montero, which is really a backup player that played on the wing as well. He might be a bit piece player next season. He's a really good emergency third striker. Both strikers are right. He can go and he does a job. Like, he scored 4 goals off the bench. He did okay. His minutes per goal were still better than Ozon. So there you are. But there you go. There's your strikers. That tells us quite clearly that we need to get a better striker to play down the middle from the start. So yeah, there you go. Okay, wingers are next. So looking at this then, this will be an interesting one. So we've got the wingers listed in order, again, of the minutes that they played, or the starts they had, actually, is what I've gone for. So dribbles per 90, you've got a 3.88 from Edward Chilafia. Then there's a big drop after that, isn't there? You've got like a bad on a 2.49. Pirini's on a 2.47. Ola's on a 2.70. There's a big drop on dribbles per 90 once you get past the main guy on the right-hand side. Cross completion, Pirini's at 29%. Some of those guys are a bit down on that. But again, I'm not too worried about this just yet. I'm interested more in the shooting, really, because that's where the problems occurred. Although Pirini's got massively increased open play key passes per 90 compared to the others. That's quite interesting to note as well, that he's providing stuff that the other wingers just aren't doing. Progressive passes, open play key passes. And he didn't really play many different positions than they did. So that's just him. That's not an outlier because he played differently. He played the same role, same position as everybody else. Shot on target ratio is pretty good for wingers. Like, I mean, Ola's really not great on his conversion ratio, but shot on target ratio seems pretty good. And conversion ratio for wide players, that's not bad. So maybe really it is the strikers, because that's really not bad. Like, having done the Moneyball saves previously, having conversion ratios of 20% or above for your wide players is normally okay. I mean, goal score wise as well. I mean, if you take that, that's basically what's over 30 goals, right? That's over 30 goals between those 3 players. That's 2 starting wingers and a sub, and they're getting 30 goals between them. So that's pretty good. I think that's almost enough to help us like win the Serie A. If you take 30 goals between 3 players, your 2 wingers and whoever the sub is, and the person that starts if somebody's out, 30 comes from there. You would hope that you would get something like, I don't know, like 35 from your striker and your backup striker, just roughly 65 set pieces, another 10, 75, couple of then 10 from midfield, 85. So like you're getting towards 90 goals scored if you can get that. So that's not bad. I just think that we need to. I think that what this tells us more than anything is we need to go for the striker. I'm just interested to see here. I know that Inter don't play with a winger, so this makes it difficult. So we can't really look at what stats their wingers got, but we can look at what stats their strikers got for a second here. Let's just get the goal scored up. So looking at this, if we look at minutes per goal, like, to be fair, Martinez isn't great there, but Marcus Thuram has been the business for them. 32 goals scored, minutes per goal of 121. That's really, really good. They played 2-man strike force as well, of course, which does change things a little as well. But conversion rates are pretty good. But, you know, like, I just think that we need somebody closer towards this level of stats. And Samu maybe is somebody like that, but somebody who can overperform their XG, like 6.49 XG performance. What was our strikers again? 1.18, 1.75. So strikers that don't just score the goals that they're being created. So strikers that don't just score the goals and the chances that you create and put on a plate for them, but can score goals on their own from slightly, lower XG chances and that kind of stuff, right? So that's interesting. That's something for us definitely to look at. What that was really good at doing is, at the very least, that really narrowed down to what we're going to look at. So I'll look very heavily for a striker in the transfer. That is the most important thing for us to get. And then really, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to look at from the stats perspective. In like players that are wanted, there's a lot of players wanted. Handel's going nowhere because, I mean, even if they offer me 4.4 million to lose my starting pivot player for 4.4 million, just not going to be enough money, is it? That's just not going to be acceptable. Dardai, again, that won't be enough money to let him go. Asan, I mean, if they offered like 85 million, I think we would probably take that. Chilafia, it's really hard to lose Chilafia because of his pace and his acceleration. I don't think we can replicate that very easily in the transfer market. We've got a few defenders. Papetti and Monterese, I'd like to avoid losing because they're Italian and homegrown. I mean, Clemens is wanted, but not by a lot of money. So we'll see how we sort of go with that. He goes under 20s now because he's going to be gone anyway. And then the shortlist, the players that were already on the shortlist from previous seasons. You might recognize some of those names there. You might not. Some of them are going to be new gens, of course. But that's our current list. What I'm going to do now is quickly just move this back a touch. I'm just going to shortlist them, scout them all now for a week, just to get an updated report on the recommendations, see what the scouts think of the players we've currently got on the shortlist, and I'll go through some of the boys here and see what we've got. Let's look at strikers quickly. We've got on the list here. We've got any good strikers here? He's not bad, is he? Martin Luque. I mean, his work rate's a bit questionable. Pedrola could be an option for us. He looks pretty good. Is he going to be the answer to score all these goals for us? I'm not too sure about that. And we've also got the Wonder Kid here that I've tried to sign before already a couple of times. So he could be the one to bring in. I think he's probably worth doing because just because how good he could be. You're buying on potential a little bit, but if you buy him and play him all season, there's a really good chance that he'll do about the same as what we had last season. But then after that season, he should get really, really, really good. You would hope anyway. So we'll let the scouts come back with him. But I think he's going to be somebody that I'll buy definitely, as I will a few others potentially here as well. But that's what we'll look at early on. Some good deals in there potentially for some players that I recognise from playing another save. So we'll see how it goes anyway. I'll see how it all plays out. But in terms of like proper recruitment, I'll go through that in the next episode. So in the next episode, what we'll do is we'll do the whole summer transfer window in the next episode. We will then go through all the transfers, see who we can get in. We will start the next season. I'll play either 1 or 2 matches at the start of next season. See how we start off. It may not necessarily be the very first game. It depends. If we get like Inter Milan away, a couple of games in, we'll obviously do that, of course. We'll do 1 or 2 games at the start of next season. And then I think that I sort of mentioned this in the comment section to a few of you when I replied to some of you. Thank you for all your comments, by the way, in the previous couple of videos. So that I said that 3 seasons was the minimum I wanted to do this A for, and we've got to that stage. So this is where I think that, I sort of wanted to get to as a minimum. But we haven't won a trophy yet, and we haven't won the league or the Champions League yet. And somebody said in the comments that, they'd like to see me go and win everything, with this team doing this sort of stuff, with Venezia doing the De Zerbi sort of stuff, and then all the in-game adjustments we make. So I thought that if that's the case, if that's actually a pretty good point, and that I would be happy to do that. I'm okay carrying this on, even if the views are much less than what they were at the start of the series. I don't really care about that. For those of you that are still watching, this is who it's really for. And for anybody that watches this after the fact, it doesn't really matter to them anyway because they're watching it all in a row. But what I was thinking is that what I'll start to do now is the series will change a bit from now on. So what it'll be is we'll always do, the summer is going to be like normal. The next episode come in will be exactly the same. But then after that, there's going to be a much bigger chunk between matches. And basically because there isn't really anything to show you between like the start of the season and like January. There's no need to show you anything because, we should be in a position now where we're always going to be in top 4, even in a bad season. We should always be in that top 4 race. We're not going to be out of it or confirmed in it by January. We could be in a title race, but again, that wouldn't really be dictated to until that point anyway. But so we're going to be in top 4. We should always be in the knockout round of the Champions League, so you don't really miss anything in terms of those like early group stage matches in the league table. You don't really need to see those because nothing's really going to be dictated to in there. And then the Italian Cup doesn't start till January. So from now on, the absolute earliest you'll see between like the end of the summer transfer window, the next episode will be the January transfer window. Then after that, what I will do is match up games where we'll do episodes where just games matter all the time. So it'll be like, if I was to guess off the top of my head, it would be like maybe a really crucial league match or 2 and the Italian Cup third round. That would be in January, along with all the January transfer window activity. That'd be like episode 2 of the season. So you've got some of transfer window, there'll be that episode. The episode after that then would be potentially like in crucial league match, title race match, then the 2 knockout rounds of the Champions League. Then the one after that would be like Italian Cup Champions. So basically, it's always going to be title challenge or really big important league match, Italian Cup and Champions League, and that's it. So there'll be no more like games where there's 3 or 4 matches and all the tactical stuff's been sort of done. So it's going to be purely just that where the games really do matter. And so every episode there's going to be loads of pressure. All the results matter. Every single match that you watch will have pressure on it. The result's going to matter. And yeah, because what that will allow me to do is basically play through larger chunks off camera and get through the seasons. That way, I could potentially make this save in this series. We could potentially this way get into like seasons 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe if we need to. Whereas if I keep doing it the way that I'm doing it, it's just going to become too difficult, really. I think I'd probably rather end it now if I was going to do it that way. So we're going to change it massively. And yeah, so just be prepared for bigger chunks of the season to go, but only at the start. You're not going to miss anything like that really matters. If you did, that would be annoying. So you're not going to miss anything in the crucial parts of the season. In that early part, it's just going to be disregarded a little bit. I'll update you, of course. I'll even go through some of the bigger matches that happened off camera, go through what I did tactically, what went wrong, what went right. That I'll go through the stuff as well, but I just want you to know, be prepared that there's going to be chunks. That's not like an accident. That is going to be intentional. And it's the best way for people that want to see this through to like seasons, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. This is the solution for that. And then we can get through and see if we win a trophy, because I am enjoying this save. I do like having this team. I like what we've built. I like to see us get into the new stadium and that kind of stuff, right? And yeah, it's just a way for me to do it this way as well. And then like, let's just say, for example, I win the Italian Cup next season. The season after will continue the same way, but then you might not join me for the Italian Cup matches anymore because we've won that. We'll focus on the league and Champions League, that sort of stuff, right? So we'll sort of try and tick those off. The aim really, I'd like to finish this series by us winning the Italian Cup, the Italian League, and the Champions League. That's what I'd love for us to do. Yeah, if I get my internet sorted, maybe we transfer this over to a stream series or something. I don't know, really. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's going to do it. That's going to do the episode. Thank you so much for watching and for all your comments. I really do appreciate all of your comments. The amounts of you that have said, like, I don't normally comment, but I wanted to say this. I really do appreciate all of them, and I tried to get back to you as soon as I can. I try not to leave it past a couple of days. I try to get back to people whenever I can. But if you do leave a comment, I will try to get back to you, and I almost always will, unless YouTube remove the comment, I don't see it, which that does happen sometimes. But yeah, in any case, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go off camera now and try and buy us a team to initiate the next challenge for us next season. Well, you'll see it with me anyway. I'll show you all my scouting and stuff. We'll go through it all together, but that'll be in the next episode. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the series, and I'll see you all, of course, next time.